at the beginning of the season, it's fun to take a stab at what we think is going to happen and then laugh hilariously at how wrong we were in 38 matches when the season's over, and we get to see how wrong we were. But let's start off with leading scorer. Who do you think is going to be Arsenal's leading scorer at the end of the 26-27 season?
Most goals this season, I'm going to go with Kai Havertz. I think he's Arteta's preferred top striker, preferred guy at the top of the lineup. I think if he's healthy, he certainly looks healthy. He looks confident. I think he bangs in the goals. Obviously he'll get a lot of rotation with Gyökeres. Hopefully Gyökeres is a little more settled into the level we're hoping for. But I'm going to take Havertz to lead the line this year.
Yeah, good pick. That was my first thought, but I don't know if it's because I'm coming off of World Cup or what it is, and maybe it's a little bit cheeky, but I'm feeling Mikel Merino.
I mean, he pretty much. I mean, he scored 2 goals to help Spain win the World Cup.
Yeah. Spain won. He scored a bunch of their goals, at least a few. Came in clutch moments to do it. So, who do you think will be your overall player of the year for Arsenal?
Oh man, yeah, kind of the guy I'm expecting a big season from. I honestly, and now granted, this is the weird thing about doing all the preseason predictions with 2 actual competitive games under their belt, the Community Shield and the League Opener. But I have been, and I continue to be excited about the season we could be getting from Martin Odegaard. I think he dealt a lot with injuries the last few years. I think he's gotten a chance to heal. I think he also is going to have some confidence from a really good World Cup he had with Norway.
Oh, yeah.
And I say really good, not just in the sense that Norway went to the quarterfinals, but that he played very well. Haaland gets all the headlines and was very good in the tournament. But I thought Odegaard was very good when I saw him as well. I'm expecting big things from him. I think he's going to be a serious candidate for the league player of the year honors.
Yeah, definitely. Good shout. For me, I don't know. I'm feeling the long shots today. And like you said, we do have a couple matches under our belt, and that has inspired me to predict Christos Solis as as our player of the year. I think he's going to make a big splash, and we're going to be wondering how we ever got by without him. So
I mean, I can certainly see him being a valuable piece, and boy, he is an active player. We'll talk a little bit about the games in just a moment, but boy, he is all over the place. So is a lot of the guys. Honestly, they're showing motion really well around the field. I mean, obviously, that's a pick that's going to look a lot sillier when we swoop in and actually sign Vinny in the next 6 hours.
Yeah. So next category, and maybe we'll go back and forth a little bit with this one, but we're going to pick who is getting relegated this season. Which of the Premier League clubs will not be around for the 27-28 season? So who do you think is going to finish in 18th? So, just over the line into relegation.
Oh, we're actually doing it. I don't know that I could do by point. So I'll say this. Last year, we talked about it last year, right? Coming in, the big story was how were the promoted teams going to survive, because the last year, all 3 of them had gone down.
Right.
Now, you and I were both feeling pretty good that at least 1 or 2 of them would stay up. 2 of them did, as it turns out. I don't think all 3 of them are going down, but I do feel like all 3 of them are rather disadvantaged coming in. And the hardest part isn't so much picking which of the 3 is going to stay, so much as who's the current Premier League team that's going to take that place.
Right.
So I'll start by answering that. I am not feeling very good about Fulham coming into this season. I think they feel like they've stagnated a bit. I know they have a new manager who their fans aren't particularly fond of. I don't feel very good about the direction they're going. And when you're a club like Fulham, a lot of those clubs that are kind of outside the big ones, and even a club like an Everton or a Villa or a Spurs, has some buffer if things don't go well. If things don't go well at a club like Fulham, they can spiral really quickly, and you find yourself sitting in 19th on Christmas, and it's just a deep hole to dig out of. So if the bottom's going to fall out on somebody this year, I hate doing it because I've always had a soft spot for Fulham, but I think it's them. If someone's going to go down, like that'll be them.
So I'll slot them in your number 18 spot. I think, that makes sense. So I was thinking the same thing as like, okay, so which Premier League club that's been around for before this season is going to go down? And you have a much deeper well of experience in the Premier League to draw from here. I don't have that. So what I can draw on is how incredibly exciting it was for a long stretch of last season to fantasize that perhaps Spurs was in fact going down. And that's what I'm predicting, is that they are the club that was not promoted this season that is going to be the one that goes down.
I have so many things to say, but we'll save it. Some of them we'll save for later. But yeah. So that's the one that I picked that will go down that didn't come up. Which do you think? So were we both on the same page that 2 of the promoted clubs are going back down? Yeah, I'm leaning towards Hull and Ipswich. I don't have a lot to base this on. And even Coventry, I'm not thoroughly in love with. But Coventry racked up 100 points. They had a really good season last year. They scored a lot off set pieces, so they're not a team that relied on outplaying less talented championship competition. They won the ways you would want to win in the Premier League. Creating those opportunities. So I'm tentatively leaning towards Coventry as the one who survives, and I'm going to say Hull and Ipswich are the ones who go down.
Yeah, I mean, given my limited knowledge of those clubs, just knowing that Coventry won the championship, and specifically not only that they won the championship, but they were actually the high-scoring club across the top 5 divisions with 97 goals. That came up during our match against them yesterday. It seems like they're pretty good. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I also picked Ipswich and Hull to go down. We'll see.
I would say I don't know that I'd call Coventry pretty good. I think they're good enough.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, we'll talk more about it in depth. They did not look completely out of their depth in yesterday's game. So
right.
Maybe that bodes
really well. I wouldn't say that they played really badly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to pick the top 5, and we'll kind of go in. Which order do you want to go in, from top to bottom or bottom to top?
Man, let's go bottom to top. Let's just see. Okay. Let's see how it goes.
So who do you have as 5th place?
5th place. So we're going down to 5 spaces, by the way, because I think we're pretty much presuming that English teams will perform well in Europe to the point that the top 5 will automatically qualify for the Champions League. In terms of my 5th place team, I am going to go with Manchester United. I think they're a Champions League team. I am not sold on Carrick as a great manager. He seems to be a solid one, although there were cracks in they were getting results, but not necessarily in the best play. They've reinforced a bit, but there's still a lot of more holes in their lineup than some of the other top contenders. And remember, last year they played 40 games total last season because they weren't in Europe and they were eliminated from both cup competitions in the first game. I think adding Europe is just going to be, I don't want to say too much. I think they're good enough to be top 5, but I think asking a lot more from them at this stage is going to be a little much.
Okay. I actually don't have Man United in my list. Must be an oversight. Who I picked for number 5. Again, they are another club from that same city. Manchester City, I think, is on the downswing. I think I'd be shocked if they came in 1st or 2nd this season. I think they are on the way down. I think they probably still do qualify for the Champions League, but that's even debatable. I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. But especially, nothing about the Community Shield match changed that perception. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Should we do this as a snake? I went first for number 5. You'll go first for number 4.
Yep.
So go ahead. Who's your number 4? Who is your 4 then? So
number 4, I'm thinking Liverpool will don't have too much to say about it. I don't have too much to back up a lot of these, just kind of gut feeling and hunches, but I don't see them. Nothing I've heard about them leads me to indicate they're going to do much better than they have before. It's kind of like they're going to do about the same, and Manchester City does a little bit worse and drops below them. So, yeah. What about you?
Okay.
You're number 4.
I think I am also going to go Liverpool, actually. I think they're going to settle a little bit. I like Iraola, their new manager. Again, that's going to be a common theme in all of those new managers all over the place. I like Iraola. I do think Liverpool, though, as a club, still in a bit of transition. They're still trying to bed in a lot of the attacking players they signed, and their defense is still kind of not great, especially if Virgil van Dijk, even though he continues to seem ageless at some point, that's not going to be true. The Father Time is undefeated and all that. I think they'll be a little bit better than last year, but I think they're still in a bit of transition, I think, as they start to remake themselves under Iraola's vision. I will say the great wild card in this, though, is that the new figure who's just bought into their ownership group is Jeff Bezos. And if he decides to go full out takeover and, just decides to buy every player he can in January, then it changes everything. But I don't think that's going to happen quite that fast. But I do think, I think Liverpool is going to be solid. I think, but I'm not quite there to put them. I don't feel great picking them in 4th, but I'll say 4th for now.
Okay. And what about 3rd?
3rd, I'm going to go with Chelsea. This is probably going to be one that feels a little more controversial to a lot of people. I think they're still a bit of a mess as a club in terms of some of their roster construction and just their desire to sign every young player ever. I do think they made a few smart decisions in bringing in a few more veteran players. I think Xabi Alonso is a good manager. Certainly he proved that at Leverkusen a few seasons ago. So I think they're also going to benefit a great deal from not being in European competition, a little extra rest. I think if they can be a little stabilized in the locker room, Morgan Rogers I think they overpaid for Morgan Rogers, but he is a good signing. He might help unlock Cole Palmer a little bit. That seems to be the hope. I think they're going to be solid. I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year, especially without Europe to clutter the schedule. So I'm going to say Chelsea and not feel particularly great about it. What about you?
So, again, without the wealth of experience, it gets hard to pick these. So, take these with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. But I was very surprised last season at how well Sunderland did for as much of a season as they did. And just kind of banking on that same trend continuing. Maybe they grow from finishing 7th place their first season back from the championship. Maybe they grow that and actually finish in 3rd this season.
I have a professional friend who's a Sunderland fan. He'd enjoy hearing that.
I'm sure he would.
I guess I was going to say, I wonder who he gets in. I was waiting for you to just say Spurs as well in this one, just for giggles.
Hedge my bets.
In terms of who got in instead of United, but
yeah. And then for 2nd, I don't know. I've got a funny feeling about Aston Villa. They've been a tough opponent. I don't really know too much about what they've done over the summer, but they've been a tough one to beat. And thankfully, they dispatched Manchester City in the last match of last season. But yeah, we'll see how they end up doing, but that's something about my gut is telling me that. So what do you think?
Okay, yeah, Villa's an interesting choice. I think they've lost a lot of good players. They're probably getting rid of a few more.
Okay.
And adding in the Champions League, it's hard for me. They were one I flirted with in that top 5, but I'm not. I couldn't pull the trigger. But they'll prove me wrong. They proved me wrong in the past, so they're certainly well managed. They know who they are, which is a really good thing to have. Number 2, I'm going to stick with Manchester City.
Okay.
I all kidding aside, including the fact that he looks like Pep, I actually do think Enzo Maresca is a solid manager. I thought he did some good things at Chelsea. He did a really good thing in terms of earning promotion with Leicester. they're obviously another club going through massive transition. Rodri's gone. Bernardo Silva's gone. This is Erling Haaland's team now. There's a lot of guys they have who haven't really won anything yet, or certainly haven't led the line to win anything yet. They've got some young players who are kind of coming up, but they're in a space of transition there. But it's kind of that common theme in all these other clubs we're talking about, which I think kind of leads us into that last bit there, right? Who's our number one? I think it's really easy to see why. Well, I think it's really easy to see why we're both going to go the same way, right?
All right, 1, 2, 3. Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, here you give your rationale first.
I mean, there's not too much to say. We're an Arsenal-focused show. It feels like it would be treasonous to say anything else, for one thing, especially coming off a season where we did just win the league, right? But not only have we just won the league, we are not dismantling. All of our transfers are from a position of strength, growing our depth in the places where we learned last season how desperately we needed to. You know, we're basically adding on a ton of defenders. We were very thin there. We're adding on forwards because we were thin there. So, yeah, I mean, I see nothing to indicate anything going any worse this season. You know, we're mostly the same squad and shored up in key places. So
yeah, right. I think obviously the big thing for us is how settled we are. We know, like we talked about with Villa there. Villa knows who they are. We know who we are. We know who we are. We know what we tried, with the way we're trying to play. Arteta has a firm grip on the side. I think this is where the addition of a player like Bruno is really important. And I heard some of this chatter over the summer, and I think it's really right. He didn't win the league last year. You know, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, these guys won the league last year. Bruno didn't. He's still got a little bit of that extra hunger, that fire, because he can't remember. You know, what did you do during the parade? I watched it on TV like everyone else and wanted to be like, you know, you need some of those guys like that who are going to help push things on. And I think, but coming into a side that's solid, and you look around again, City has a new manager, Chelsea has a new manager, Liverpool has a new manager, Manchester United's new manager has been there, you know, took over in January. Spurs had their manager, took over in April. You know, Newcastle is basically torn down. I mean, Villa's lost a lot of good players. Everybody else who you could possibly name is making a run is going through various kinds of transition. And then you just add in the mental aspect. Think about where we've been the last 3 years, coming so close again and again and again. And at least now, and again, it's weird to do predictions 2 games into the season, but if you watch them play, they look like they don't have a care in the world. They look like they know just how good they are, and that makes them very, very dangerous. Like I think with the removal of that mental block, I could see this being, I'm not going to predict it per se, but I could see this being a season where Arsenal wins the league fairly comfortably. You know, we're not having those nail biters towards the end. I think this is one where we could be in the middle of April and, you know, sort of already planning the parade route. It's right. This is a very good team. This is a team that ranks among the very best in Europe and by extension then the world. I think they're in their prime. I think their chief competition has, you know, considerable question marks. I don't want to say flaws, certainly question marks. Given how the league rewards consistency over a long stretch, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to win everything. Obviously, it takes one bad day and you're out of the cup. But it is just really hard for me to paint a picture where Arsenal isn't the best team over 38 games. It's just a hard thing for me to fathom. Having said that, you know, we should point this out. Arsenal has not repeated as a league champion since the 1930s.
Yeah.
I mean, all those teams under Wenger and all that never did it. It is hard to win more than one in a row, but I think that if you wanted to build a scenario where you would feel comfortable doing it, I think this is it. Us in the position of strength, our competition in various stages of transition, this is what that would look like to feel good about that coming in, and I do.
Right.